Hello YouTube, welcome back and welcome to the channel. First off, happy Pride Month to you all. I wish everyone a great celebratory month and a fantastic start to the summer. Now, since it is June, I wanted to do a build that represented a bit of that summertime warmth, so I thought it would be a great idea to build a campsite. Among all the other summer activities you could do, camping is among my favorites. You know, making s'mores around a campfire, foraging for some edible plants like puffballs and morsels, and adding them into a forest stew with tofu or a meat of your choice. Perhaps going to a nearby zipline facility where you can take in the view of the forest or go down to a river, collect a few rocks, and paint them. You know, many people think that camping doesn't have much to it, but there are a ton of activities that you can pair with it to make it that much more engaging than just sleeping in a tent. Now, I am in the summer mood, so that's pretty much the reason for the build today. And this gives me a reason to tinker around with the landscaping tools in the game. I know that this can be pretty scary to get right, but it's not as hard as you think it is. The tool itself is fairly simple to pick up since we have the basic setup, such as increasing or decreasing the surface level, a smoothing tool which gets rid of all those hard ridges, and a flat top tool which smooths out the surface at a specific level in the elevation. As I was adjusting the terrain, I know that I wanted to have two peaks that are connected at a midpoint. Well, as far as I know, I wanted to have four separate elevation levels since that is what I think would make it kind of aesthetically pleasing to look at. In terms of how I wanted this mountainous campsite to look, I mapped out an outline path where I want my paras to walk on and areas that I can build on. Everything else would pretty much make up the landscaping like flowers, mushrooms, rocks, grass, and trees. I added a couple of stairs to each level since it would kinda be weird for a para to just walk up some of these steeper elevations like that. The stairs were a bit tough to place though, yet with the freedom of the advanced tool, I could have them tucked neatly on the ground while still being functional. Yes, I made sure to playtest this, and your para will be able to go up and down these steps without any problems. In terms of the pathways, I wanted it to be windy and scenic in a way. I believe I went with the gravel path because I thought it looked nice, kind of similar to most hiking trails near me because those trails use gravel in real life. So it made sense to also use that here. Okay, on to the most fun part for me. Since I had intended this build to be rocky, placing down the vegetation and the larger boulders, and being able to customize the sizes were an absolute blast. For my rock climbing enthusiasts, I'm sure you know that rock formations tend to have a lot of gaps, ledges, and grabbable surfaces to them. I tried to emulate that here with each level by placing down these small boulders in the paralog, sizing each of them to varying degrees and stacking them on one another. I believe this took up the bulk of the time that I had spent making this. Along with that, I placed down a bunch of bushes that I had also resized to varying degrees so I could add a breakaway from each rock formation. That and it adds a splash of color to balance out the gray that we have to look at. I started placing down a bunch of weeds as a way to add more greenery to the area and to also incorporate a deeper green from the bushes' vibrant light green. Now, I placed a lot of them down, and even that is an understatement because by the end of this build, you're going to see that I had packed an astronomical amount of these everywhere. For a weed plant that is otherwise not welcome in a garden, it sure as heck is pulling its weight in this environment. I truly think this plant ties everything together because it fills up the space. Actually, fun fact, even though weeds are a nuisance in dedicated manicured gardens due to them taking up resources from other plants, many species like clovers and dandelions are helpful to an ecosystem by being able to be pollinated early. This helps out pollinators such as bees and the butterflies to sustain themselves, while other types of flora grow later in the spring. Also, weeds can definitely be a good sign in a garden because it lets you know that the soil is good for plants to grow on. Just something to know if you ever want to take up gardening. I then added some pretty flowering bushes to the environment because we need a little bit more color in here. I believed I tried to randomly place them, but I ended up placing them on the corners of the bushes anyways. The ground level hardly had any other details since I didn't really feel inclined to fill it out. But I did place a ton of the rocks, the bushes, and the weeds all over in the backside of this build. I've cut out that process since this took me about 6 hours of placing down the rocks and resizing them over and over again and stacking them. I don't think that's something you'll want to see, but who knows? As for the surrounding trees, I placed down a good number of spruce and fir trees. Spruce trees, especially because they truly remind me of the surrounding wildlife that I'm used to while camping. Speaking of camping, has anyone else gone camping before, and what sort of style do you prefer? Honestly, glamping is such a unique style. You know, like bringing the comforts of luxuries of certain aspects of civilization to a campsite. I've definitely been on a few trips where I've been in the groups that brought tent setups that resemble a mini house. I kid you not, these oversized tents are decorated from head to toe with doorway tarps, fairy lights, comfort carpets, a small kitchen setup with a huge water storage container, and a literal individual bedroom setup inside. I know that they're a bit overkill, but if you do plan on staying a few nights in the wilderness, glamping literally makes sleeping outside of human infrastructure very comfortable. Personally, I'd say I'm in between a camping traditionalist and glamper because I do love to bring the comfort of home with me to the woods, but I wouldn't want to go over the top with a huge camping setup. Sometimes a moderate sized tent and a sleeping bag are enough of an experience. Though I can't say that I haven't had fun decorating a tent because there is an art to making your tent as aesthetically pleasing as possible. Now, every single time that I go camping, bringing a camera is a must have in my book because I love to scrapbook my adventures in nature. When I'm with a group of friends, I always have to take photos of what we are doing. I know that sort of thing can probably take away from being in the present, but I like to argue that taking photos makes the moment that much more memorable. Rather than just remember these things as but a fleeting memory that we can recall in our minds, having something physical to hold on to and look at truly allows you to feel the emotional weight of that moment. Photos aren't just these remnants that capture physical objects, it also captures a moment's emotions. It captures a detailed moment that you can recall fully without messing up on the details, and they make for good decorations on your walls to remind you of the good moments in life. Anyways, as I was filling more details in the landscape, I believe I plopped down a few geraniums in the environment. I went with more of a more mute peach cream color. Obviously, I didn't want to place down a lot of them because I feel like too much of them could be too much for the campsite feeling that I'm going for. Along those, I added a few lilies of the valley in here, and I honestly can't tell you if they elevate the environment or not because they blend in so much with the rest of the plants. I eventually plopped down a few mushroom variants and crystal collectibles from the debug menu. Oh yeah, I downloaded the debug unlocked mod from Steam. This essentially adds many of the environmental objects from around the town as buyable in the catalog. There's quite a few useful objects in here that I think could enhance the feel of the campgrounds. Now, after a bit of adding these plants, I just went around the lot and went crazy with the 3D paint tool and added grass to parts where I thought there were too much negative space. After that, I had an idea to put in a custom topiary, and I bet you're asking what I mean by custom topiary. You know, there's a trend going on within the community with using blueprints on the custom paintings. Now, hear me out. I think we could really elevate the building potential of our lots with the custom paintings by adding in 2D prints of animals and outlining a plant-like structure with them. I showcased this process somewhere in this video, but you'll see what I mean. Actually, the more that I'm thinking about this, we can create more bush shapes by following a 2D outline from a painting, like let's say maybe a heart or triangle topiary. Gosh, can you imagine the potential with this? Like imagine heart-shaped arches, helix topiaries, aquatic animal centerpieces made out of bushes. I hope I'm not the only one who saw the massive potential with these paintings because we can truly get way more creative with this. Speaking of creativity, the ease of access for this is immense. I'll be plopping a few images of builds that I did in The Sims 4 just to show you the credentials of some of my work. When Love Struck released for The Sims 4, I built a custom heart arch that I did freehand, by the way, in the Park of the Plaza area of the City of Love. That took me so long to do, but it was so worth it. I also did a death flower bed in my cemetery build when Life and Death released. Also a few other ones with a moonflower bed and whatnot. I can't remember all the designs I did for that, but I also did those on a freehand as well. Now, if these don't tell you that I love landscaping, I don't know what will. I mean, I wasn't lying when I said that decorating the outside of a lot is my strong suit. Now, hopefully you'll be able to create some custom topiaries for yourself now that I edit this idea in your head. I will definitely be looking out for them on social media. Please tag me in your work if you do decide to post those on your socials because I would love to see what you've built. As of the moment, I'd say I'm more active on Twitter and my handle is pretty much the same as it is on YouTube. Okay, let me explain the process a little more in detail because I don't think I was that clear. The first thing you want to do is to make sure you build a single wall near the place where you want to build your topiary. You're then going to scour the internet for 2D images of whatever you're trying to make into said topiary. In this case, let's say a bunny or a rabbit. You're then going to download said image and save it to a place where you can easily access it. Once that's done, you'll plop down a frame on that wall you placed down, and there should be an image interface on the right side that you'll be able to scroll down. At the very bottom of this, there's a plus sign you can click on to add the custom image in this interface. It should take you to your directory, just find the place where you saved your image. Once the image is in the interface, you can select it and size it to whatever you want. Ideally, you'll be using the advanced tool here. After it's on the wall, use the advanced tool to remove it from said wall and place the painting in a spot where you plan to build the topiary. Then once you've done that, go into the catalog and choose whatever plant you want to use as the building block. In this case, the bushes should be ideal. From there, place the bushes on the outline until you fill it out and get the desired shape. After that, you can just delete the painting and fine-tune the topiary in the 3D space. Probably add or move some things around to ensure that you have the shape you want from all sides. It's not really as complicated as it sounds, and I'm sure you'll get the hang of it when you try it out. Well, since I'm being verbal about this, I'm not sure if anyone would want me to do a video tutorial on all these steps to add some sort of visual presentation here. Let me know down below if you like that sort of thing. I'd be happy to create one if this isn't clear enough. Now, I think at this point of the video, I should have already started on the custom tent for the campground. All I did for this was size down a few roof pieces, did the wall tech where I placed down windows and moved them away from the wall by using the advanced tool and rearranged them into this triangular pattern for the tent. I know these are see-through, but I prefer to actually see my para in the tent. If you don't care for that sort of thing, carpets will be a better option in place of the windows. I do want to note that you do not want to delete the walls where you first place down the windows because if you do, this will essentially delete all those windows you've moved away from it, and the game still treats them as if they're still placed on that wall. This applies to pretty much any wall objects that are stuck due to placement rules. Well, technically, the game treats the objects as an actual physical item at both places, the spot where you first put it and the spot where you moved it to during the advanced tool. Just something to be mindful of, by the way. With the tent stuff out of the way, I'm sure you've noticed that I added a cozy little campsite because this wouldn't be a campsite if there weren't any tents around here. I was very happy adding in the wooden picnic table and grill because many campsites in real life actually do have these amenities at these sort of spots. Now, further into the build, I added a blanket picnic area with a cute little basket and pillows. Maybe you just want your parents to be able to picnic out in nature, or perhaps have them go there during the night to stargaze. It can truly be a mesmerizing experience. From there, I built a ranger's cabin with a restroom facility built into it, mainly because it would be convenient for both the park ranger and their patrons to have a bathroom on the lot. I also added a little fire pit area where paras can gather around. Sadly, it isn't functional since there aren't any fire pits in the game, so we have to make do with this custom one and pretend that paras can interact with it. Now at this point of the video, I think I went around the law and added a few of the debug items to fill out the rest of what I was missing. Just a few of the mushroom collectibles, vending machines, an observation area on both peaks, a zipline connection between both the hills, since of course I had to add it, and a telescope that paras can use to view the space above. That's pretty much everything for this video. The end result really came out nice and I was happy with how things look. I'm contemplating whether I should add this to the Steam Workshop since I'm not sure if people would want this, but if you want it, I could upload it on there. I'll be doing a showcase of the law after this, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Oh yeah, also look out for future videos on Pride related stuff because I plan on doing some fun stuff for this month. Okay, I'll see you all in the next one, everyone. Bye bye.